Hey Leute, willkommen zurück zu Let's Play Danganronpa. Ja, das mache ich noch los und fort. Brauchen mehr Zeit! Von der halben Stunde, die wir haben, brauchen wir noch mehr Zeit. So, wir waren hier stehen geblieben, nachdem wir wieder in einem krassen Gericht sind.
Let's begin with a basic explanation of the class trial. So, your votes will determine the results.
Wie oft denn noch? Like,
If
seriously.
you can figure out,
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
I'll punish.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
well,
Well then, let's discuss the specifics of the victim.
Again.
First, we need to clarify who exactly the unidentified victim is.
It's Kyoko. There's no other explanation.
But Kyoko's standing right there.
Haben die gerade Tokos Stimme geändert oder bin ich doof? Sandra?
No, that's a ghost!
But she has legs and stuff.
Geister können Beine haben.
Well, that's just because she's like the latest evolution in ghost technology.
Ghost Technology?
There's a limit to how much ridiculousness I can tolerate.
Okay. So I just have to prove that the corpse isn't Kyoko, right?
Warum du? Warum bist du der Haupt... I just... No, we.
Then let's compare Kyoko's traits to the traits of the dead body.
Her traits?
Gloves. Kyokos piercing glare. Oder Kyokos face. Sarah, welche Aspekte sind besonders bei Kyokos Körper? Ich hätte ja andere Aspekte gesagt, aber... Es ist ihr piercing glare. Na, natürlich ihre Handschuhe.
I'm talking about her gloves. They'll give us some insight into the mystery. I'm sure of it.
In that case, I think it would be helpful if someone explained why she actually wears those gloves.
And would you happen to know the answer?
In fact, Monokuma told me. Apparently you have scars on your hands you don't want anyone to see.
Oh, you know, now that I think about it, the corpse wasn't wearing any gloves, right?
They probably just got burnt up in the explosion.
Und dann lassen sie die Hände... Ja, ist richtig, Sandra. Seine Logik. Die Handschuhe wurden verbrannt, aber die Hände sind in Ordnung.
I'm not convinced. The ghost is just trying to fool us all.
There's no way that corpse was Kyoko. But if I can't prove why, we're gonna be stuck here and the case won't move forward. So I don't have any choice, bud. Na, habe ich 1 oder 2. Make your argument. Tattoo, Tattoo, Tattoo. Ich glaube, es ist das Tattoo.
That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Because that corpse is absolutely Kyoko.
This entire discussion is idiotic.
Ja, schön. Ich überlege gerade. Kyoko, den Profi. Ja, schön mit
That
was?
Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves. Shoot! That Kyoko there is just a ghost.
Impossible.
Muss ich das Ding nehmen?
Okay, then prove it. Prove she's not a ghost.
The dead body wasn't
hier?
wearing gloves.
Und dann auf das andere
They got
schmeißen.
burnt up in the explosion.
Then she was wearing gloves before the explosion.
Well, yeah, she must have been wearing gloves.
Nee.
Shoot!
That
have
Kyoko there
Tattoo.
is just a ghost.
Exploded Body und Fake Nails.
Okay, then prove
Au.
it. Prove
Bei,
she's
wie
wearing
hast du hier
gloves.
das Ding, ne?
The dead body wasn't wearing gloves.
They got burnt up and...
Then she was wearing gloves.
Well, yeah, she
Da,
must
ne?
have been wearing...
No, that's wrong.
Ja, ich habe mich jetzt nicht an die Handschuhe konzentriert, sondern Fake Nails wegen. Kyoko würde keine
No.
Fake Nails tragen.
There's no way the corpse was wearing gloves. Whoever it was,
Willst du noch
they
ein
were
Video-
wearing fake
Video das
nails,
nachmachen?
remember?
Aber ich habe mein Handy hier rum.
I imagine trying to wear gloves over nails like that would have been a pretty big pain. Besides, Kyoko wears gloves to hide her hands, right? It'd be pretty weird for someone who's self-conscious about their hands to wear fake nails, don't you think?
Jeez, man, you don't know women, huh? They're complicated like that.
If anyone doesn't know women, it's you.
Well, Kyoko, any thoughts?
These gloves were custom made to the size of my hands to make sure they don't interfere with my daily life. If I wore fake nails, the gloves wouldn't fit properly.
Then that's that. The dead body doesn't belong to Kyoko.
Which should have been obvious since she's standing right here.
Okay, so then, who's the real victim? First, we need to figure that out.
Also, wie gesagt, mein einziger Vorschlag, du kannst es trotzdem noch in einem Video probieren und hoffen, dass die Leute dieselbe Taktik machen wie in einem Video.
That's the first thing I said. You're the one who's been dragging us around in circles.
Before anything, we have to identify the victim. Everything starts from there. Ich würde mal sagen, das Tattoo. Sprinkles, exploded body analysis, tattoo on the right hand.
If Kyoko really is still alive, then who died?
There's gotta be some way to figure it out. I don't think so. The face was scorched beyond recognition. And there wasn't any description in the Monokuma file. Well, if we can't identify the body...
Ja, Tattoo.
No, that's wrong.
Tattoo auf dem Ding. Ah ja, klar.
There was one clue left behind that we can use to identify the body.
What? For real? If you're lying, you'll die a cruel and unusual death.
Was hab ich hier jetzt schon wieder Toko angetan?
Cruel and unusual death. This I gotta see.
Hagakure, seit wann bist du so brutal?
She's just being stupid. Ignore them, Makoto. Tell us what you're talking about.
The key to figuring out who it was is the tattoo on the back of her hand.
Oh, yeah. The design's pretty strange, huh? Is this... Her master must have made her get it. To be like, you're my bitch.
Seriously? They really did something that humiliating?
No, that's not it. The identity of the victim is hidden within that tattoo.
Oh, really?
Komplette aber Information. Ja,
I got it!
Mukurus.
The Fenrir Mercenary Corps. That's the name of the military group Mukuro Ikusaba belonged to.
Okay, so...
To show that they're a member of the team, each soldier that joins the squad would get a tattoo representing Fenrir somewhere on their body.
Fenrir?
The image that represents Fenrir is... Hangman's Gambit. What? Denken die, ich bin dumm?
Now I understand.
Now I understand my ex.
The representation of Fenrir is a wolf.
Fenrir, the Wolf of Ragnarok. It's from Norse mythology. A huge, world-ending wolf beast. He's the child of the trickster god Loki, and a female giant.
Man, after all this time, we finally got a glimpse of the literary all-star.
A wolf tattoo. And that means...
Exactly. The body we found had a tattoo of a wolf, which means that person must have once belonged to Fenrir. So it must have been Mukuro.
What?
Hold on. Isn't she the one that was behind this whole thing?
You sound surprised, but you're absolutely right. Yes, indeed. The trial this time is to solve the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba.
Are you saying the mastermind is dead? And now we have to have a cool-ass trial?
No. It means we were wrong in thinking that Mukuro was the mastermind at all.
But I mean, being the ultimate despair seems like a pretty mastermindy title to me.
Maybe we shouldn't have been thinking of her as the ultimate despair in the first place. After all, looking at her profile, I didn't see anything that would fit such a description. All it said was that she was the ultimate soldier. If I remember correctly, that other information came from Kyoko. That's what you told Makoto, right?
So that means Kyoko got it wrong?
And who was she? Who was Mukuro Ikusaba? She's been gone this whole time? And when she finally turns up, she gets killed. Usually when there's a scene where an important character dies, it has a lot more detail.
So you're saying she wasn't an important character? Which would mean she was the same as us. Just another participant.
Then who's the real mastermind?
It must have been the Hope's Peak Academy headmaster after all.
No, the headmaster has nothing to do with it.
But how can we trust that? We already know your information about Mukuro was wrong.
My information was not wrong.
Okay. We're in the middle of a trial right now. Figuring out who killed Mukuro is first and foremost.
Wenn du das sagst.
Please limit all future prattle, chatter, and chit-chat as much as possible.
Fine. Uncovering the identity of the mastermind will have to wait. But remember this. No matter what happens, we will find out who you really are. I stake my family name on it.
I have officially decided to completely ignore all such attempts at provocation. Now then, just so nobody's confused, let me state this one more time for the record. The reason we're having a class trial is because a murder among the students has taken place. Hammer that point straight into your big ol' brains!
What you're saying is that both the victim and the culprit are part of the student body?
Then, one of us killed Mukuro?
Wait, no! There's a chance that there's some mystery 17th person who's been hiding all along!
Nope! There are only 16 students in total that have been taking part in these events.
Hagakura hat auch keine Idee von irgendwas.
Seriously? Then one of us killed Mukuro?
Who did it? Who's the killer this time?
Get a hold of yourself. We've already narrowed down the list of possible suspects.
Huh?
I'm sure you realize who I'm talking about, right, Makoto? Who the evidence points to?
Based on what we know, there can only be two suspects. Toko and Genocide Jack! Mukuro and the Headmaster? Makoto and Kyoko.
You've narrowed it down to Kyoko and me, right?
Why do you say that?
Allow me to explain. Just after nighttime last night, I went to the garden, so I can confirm that at that point, there was no dead body there. So, the murder must have taken place after I left the garden. However, Hiro, Toko, Hina, and I were in the gym the entire time.
The gym?
That's right. The four of us were there trying to dismantle Monokuma. The whole time we were very careful not to go anywhere alone. We even went to the bathroom in pairs. All of which is to say, the four of us all have alibis. The only ones without alibis
Are me and Makoto. That's why you're able to narrow down the list of suspects.
exactly so.
So the only suspects now are me and Kyoko. Damn it, I can't let this stand. Someone have to clear my name.
I have something I'd like to say regarding the whole alibi thing.
Are you thinking of raising an objection?
Well, before that, I just want to try and get a better idea of what time the murder took place. Doing that might reveal some kind of clue.
Whatever you want. Somebody go ahead and help him out.
Me and Byakuya can both confirm that the body wasn't in the garden at... Well, it was after nighttime for sure. I'd say it must have been around 10 o'clock. So the murder must have happened after 10 p.m.
Then I guess we can say the time frame for the murder was between then and when we found the body? Oh, but what time did we find the body?
The one who saw the body first was Toko, right? And she went to go get the pickaxe.
So what time was the body discovered? 9? Wann wurde der Körper? 10, ne? Are you sure about that? So I lost sense of time since we got trapped here. Oh, but in terms of sense about the time right before she went to get the picture. Ja, ich durfte aber nicht nachschauen! Meine Güte, ich hätte ja nachgeschaut. Also doch 9. Durft ihr nicht mal nachschauen? No, I think you're right. 9.
I got it! The body must have been discovered at 9 a.m., since that's when Toko went to get the pickaxe.
Now then, Toko, what time is it? Well, when we left the gym, it was just before 9 o'clock, so it's probably 9 on the dot now. Okay, go get the pickaxe and be back here by 9:01.
He's right. It had to be around then.
So we can be totally sure the murder happened sometime between 10 at night and 9 in the morning.
For me, I was already asleep before nighttime hit, so I don't have an alibi after 10 o'clock. But I'm sure I met up with everyone else before 9 this morning.
We ran into each other in the dining hall, right? That was around... Oh yeah! Right around 7:30. I remember checking right before I went in, so I'm totally sure about it.
Which means from 10 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., you don't have an alibi.
Murder happened between 10 p.m. and 9 a.m. and I don't have an alibi from 10 p.m. to 7:30 a.m. Okay, then it looks like the game has begun. If I can't provide an alibi for that period, I just have to prove the murder didn't happen during the time I don't have an alibi. To do that, I have to make it clear when the body ended up in the garden. Sprinkles?
We've
Yeah.
established a time frame for the murder.
Sprinkles.
It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi for most of that time.
Yeah, from 10 o'clock to 7:30.
That's more than enough time to commit murder, I should think. So Makoto, if you have any
This is nothing special. Yep, also doch.
We've established a time
Sprinkles.
frame for the murder. It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock in the morning.
Ich muss 10 o'clock noch.
Yep, and Makoto doesn't have an alibi.
Yeah, from 7:30.
That's more than enough time to
commit murder. So Makoto, if you have any objections, now
Ja. Mach's mal bei
we've
China und
established
dann
a
bei
time that
10
took place
o'clock.
somewhere between 9 o'clock.
Yep, and Makoto...
Yeah, from to 7:30.
Doch nicht? Dann bei 9. Oder?
We've established a time
It took place somewhere between 10 o'clock.
Ja.
No, that's wrong. Actually, the murder couldn't have happened anywhere near 10 o'clock. It had to have taken place way later.
And what makes you say that?
Because of the sprinklers in the garden. The sprinklers are set to go off right at 7:30 every morning, right? So if the body had been in the garden before 7:30, then it should have been completely soaked.
Oh, hold on! I remember this part perfectly. The body was wet. Dripping wet, in fact.
Sorry, Toko, but you're wrong.
I'm wrong? How? Are you saying only the mouth down south was wet? How dare you spew such indecent words?
No, I'm saying that the body was wet, but not because of the sprinklers.
Toko hat eine wilde
What do
Fantasie.
you mean by denying the sprinkler? Are you trying to deny my entire existence?
Was?
Man,
Toko.
you're totally wacko.
If you really think it wasn't the sprinkler, you'd better tell us why!
I need to prove that it wasn't sprinklers that got the body wet. All I have to do is hit Toko with certain evidence that should do it. If you look at the body itself, that should make it clear. Jetzt schon eine Musik, ne?
I admit nothing. I hate you. No!
Ja,
Don't do
Toko.
anything! No! Hold on! Are you
Easy
trying to blame
going.
me?
Toko, please. Hör halt mal zu.
I hate you!
Weißt du, anstatt dass er einfach die Beweise zeigt, nein, wir müssen erstmal ein Rhythmus-Minispiel machen.
Enough! Hold on! Are you trying to blame me? I'm right about this! I admit nothing. Hold on!
Junge.
How can you say it was
This should prove it.
Meine Güte, Toko.
Just remember what the body was like after the explosion, and you'll see why it wasn't the sprinklers. The top half of the body was wet, yes, but the bottom half was completely dry. If the sprinklers got the body wet, shouldn't the whole body have been wet?
Von welcher Sprinkleranlage reden wir überhaupt? Deckensprinkler oder Bodensprinkler? Wenn es Bodensprinkler gewesen sind, könnte es an der Stelle gewesen sein, wo überhaupt kein Wasser hinkommt. Weil du weißt, wo die Bodensprinkler sind. Wenn es Deckensprinkler gewesen sind, dann ist die ganze Ding nass.
So they only got the top wet? The bottom was completely dry? What a brutal maniac!
Was hat das jetzt damit zu tun?
I'm so sick of her.
Ich auch.
Let's just move on. The reason only the top half was wet was because... while the body was still on fire, I doused it with water. But only the part on fire, the top half.
Oh, then I guess the sprinklers really didn't do it.
So if the sprinklers didn't get the body wet, then the murder must have taken place sometime after the sprinklers turned on at 7:30 in the morning.
Which means she must have been killed sometime between then and when the body was discovered at 9.
But Makoto's alibi was only missing from 10 o'clock last night to 7:30 this morning, right?
So there's no way Makoto could have done it. I guess you had an alibi after all. Good for you.
In which case, the only one left without an alibi is Kyoko.
Kyoko's the only one without an alibi. Which would mean that Mukuro's killer is... No, I refuse to believe it. Kyoko murdered someone
I'd
that...
just like to say one thing. If you vote for me and I die here, the mystery of this school will stay hidden forever. Which is why I can't let that happen.
Huh?
So are you saying you're not the culprit?
Of course I'm not. I have no reason to kill anyone. This is a trap the mastermind has laid for us.
A trap?
We're this far into the game and now you decide to blame me? Stop wasting time! Stop wasting energy! You really think your little trick is gonna work?
Shut up, you!
You got it, boss! Shutting up now!
Anyway, Kyoko, you actually did have a reason to kill her.
Huh? She did?
She thought Mukuro was
Oh.
the ultimate despair. In other words, the mastermind behind everything. So she killed her to try and put a stop to all this. Isn't that right, Kyoko? But you made one catastrophic mistake. Mukuro wasn't the mastermind at all. And as a result, we were forced into another trial. Something I'm sure you weren't at all expecting.
So, that was her motive?
If she had a motive, and no alibi. Well then, I think it's pretty clear Kyoko's gotta be the culprit.
I'm not the only one without an alibi. Makoto's explanation is still insufficient.
What?
The sprinklers didn't get the body wet, but that doesn't mean the murder happened when he said it did.
What are you...
Because you see, there is a way the body could have avoided getting wet.
Interesting. I'm listening.
All it would take is covering the body with a certain something to keep it from getting wet.
A certain something at the scene was used to cover the body. Could it have been... Bahamas, the tarp.
I got it! You're talking about the tarp, aren't you?
You catch on quick. You're right. All you'd have to do is cover the body with the tarp, and that'd take care of the water. In fact, that's exactly what the killer did. The dirt pattern on the tarp can attest to that. Only one side of the tarp got dirty, because that's the side that got covered in water. The side that faced down over the body, meanwhile, kept perfectly clean. This proves that the killer used the tarp to keep the body from getting soaked.
But why would they go to all that effort just to keep the body from getting wet?
Most likely so they could cloud the issue of when the murder actually took place. In other words, to create an excuse exactly like the one Makoto just gave us.
What? Why would Kyoko say that? Why would she want me to make me look like the killer? No, I can't think about it right now. The tarp, if it was used the way Kyoko said, the tarp must have touched the body, right? But the body...
Wait. Something's not right.
And what might that be?
I can't worry about Kyoko's motivations. If I don't do something, everyone's gonna think I'm the killer. I have to refute what Kyoko said. Body before the explosion. Okay.
By covering the body with the tarp, the killer prevented it from getting wet.
So the reason the tarp was only dirty on one side is because the sprinkler got that side wet.
But the underside of the tarp, it was totally spotless, right?
It's because that side was protected from the water.
No, darn it. Let's see. So what you're saying is I have absolutely no idea.
Shoot!
Ja. Herkudos nie.
By covering the body with the killer prevents...
So the reason that it's because the spring,
But the underside, it was totally...
It's because that side was protected since it was facing down. Of course it didn't get dirty.
Yes. Ach,
no, that's wrong. Actually, one side being clean is pretty strange if you think about it. Because the blood wasn't dry before the body got blown up, right? Byakuya said it himself. Not to touch it, or you might get some on you. If you put a tarp on a body in that state, it absolutely would have gotten blood on it.
Well, maybe the culprit washed it, so nobody would know they'd used it.
If they had, they would have washed both sides. Just washing the one side wouldn't hide anything.
Oh, yeah, true.
More than that, what if the very blood we saw on the body was meant as a kind of camouflage?
huh? The blood was
What
camouflage?
if, after the killer used the tarp to avoid the sprinklers, they then covered the body in blood that didn't belong to the victim?
You mean someone else's blood? Where would they get something like that?
I know! They could have grabbed some of the blood packs from the nurse's office. That's what Hifumi did, right? When he pretended to be dead?
No, that's not what happened this time. The killer got the blood from right there in the garden.
You got blood from right in the garden, right? Which must mean... chickens!
I got it!
Yum, Hühnchen.
Could it have been chicken blood?
What? Chicken blood?
When I checked the chicken coop before the murder, there were 5 chickens. But after the murder, there were only 4.
So you're saying
Die haben sowieso ein
someone
Problem.
killed a chicken and then
sind alles
covered the
Hähne.
body with its blood? Man, that's messed up.
Oder? Das müssten alles Hähne sein.